Look, we're actually going to take you live now to Sydney, where the New South Wales Fire Department is speaking about the operation to control this blaze. Now, so this press conference is related to the fire that broke out just after 4 o'clock today in Surrey Hills near the CBD in the heart of Sydney. This is a high density area and it's underway. Let's go to it now.
Okay, so good evening everyone. My name's Jeremy Fewtrell. I'm the Acting Commissioner with Fire and Rescue New South Wales. As you're aware, just after 4 o'clock this afternoon, Fire and Rescue received the first of many 000 calls to a building alight in Surrey Hills. We had, because of those high level of calls, we initiated a second alarm response, so 4 trucks with an aerial capability as well included in that. As those trucks were en route, they saw the large volumes of smoke and then made the call to upgrade the resourcing for the fire. And subsequently, through the operations, it's now been upgraded to a 10th alarm. So we have over 30 fire trucks and 120 firefighters working on the scene. The state of play at the moment is the fire is effectively contained to the buildings that it was involved in. There was some small level of fire spread to some of the surrounding apartment buildings. Our firefighters have extinguished that. Fire and Rescue firefighters, together with New South Wales Police, had a very significant effort in the early stages to evacuate those surrounding buildings and get people out to safety. I'm pleased to report that there's been no indications of any injuries to any of the members of the public. The fire is now effectively contained, but it will be a substantial and very prolonged duration of firefighting to extinguish the fire completely, so I expect it will be here all night and into the morning. There was some structural collapse, and you may have seen the footage. The buildings that were involved are 2 older buildings. One was sort of a terrace-style front, but the other was a large brick multi-level building, and parts of those brick walls have collapsed. Thankfully, with sort of effective and safe firefighting operations and procedures put in place, no members of the public or firefighters were injured in that collapse, and we do have obviously collapse zones in place to protect the safety of our firefighters now for the remainder of the operation. We have 3 ladder platforms at work, so they're the cherry picker type trucks that are reaching up high and able to direct water onto the fire from above to extinguish the fire. And then we also have some other large volume ground monitors, so they're fixed large diameter hoses and nozzles that are placed on the ground surrounding the fire. So it's a combination of the aerial attack and the ground monitor attack at work at the moment. There were some fires in the, it spread into the apartment buildings. Our firefighters were able to extinguish those and prevent them from penetrating further into the buildings and causing significant damage there. Unfortunately, we have had one very minor injury to one of our firefighters. He's received a small minor burn to his arm. He's currently receiving treatment from the on-scene New South Wales ambulance paramedics, but it's not expecting to be a significant injury or requiring major treatment.
Is anyone in the building where it started?
At this stage, we've had no indication that was the case. That's obviously a prime concern when our crews arrive. The information that we have at this stage was the buildings were vacant or unoccupied, whether they were under construction or about to have sort of demolition or work done. But certainly there's been no reports, and any of the information we've been able to source confirms that there was no one there, but we remain open to being aware of any potential for that.
Any idea what the cause of the fire could be?
Oh, look, it's far too early for that. It'll take us, as I said, several hours for us to finish extinguishing the fire. Once that's done, and then we can make assessments on the safety to enter the scene and conduct an examination, then our fire investigators, along with police forensics, will start to make those assessments. But that will be sometime downstream.
Can you tell where the fire started?
Not at this stage, no.
Could there be further collapses throughout the night?
Yeah, so certainly the building's undergone extensive damage and stresses to them with the impacts of the fire. We have some engineers attending the scene, and they'll help guide our decisions around safety considerations, particularly around the risk of collapse.
Would this be a hazard of smoke?
Yeah, look, we ask people to try and stay out of the smoke and avoid it. Anyone in the immediately surrounding buildings has been evacuated, but anyone in the broader vicinity, we just encourage them to keep their windows and doors closed and just have the air conditioning set to sort of a recirculation mode rather than drawing air in from outside.
What was your first impression when you saw this fire? Have you seen anything like this in your career?
Yes, I've seen similar sized fires, but it's certainly a very significant fire. And what's of note was how quickly it developed. And from those initial reports to then a fully involved building or buildings, it's quite substantial. So a really big fire, but particularly in this inner city area where there's lots of other buildings in really close proximity, the risk of further fire spread is a real concern for our firefighters. They've worked very hard to stop that from being a significant issue, and I commend them for their efforts there. But particularly with the close proximity of surrounding buildings and the number of people in this area, it was a busy time of the afternoon. Towards the end of the workday, the operations have disrupted the light rail, and we do acknowledge the inconvenience and the disruption that's caused for the travelling public, and also surrounding streets have also been closed. So we do appreciate everyone's understanding and efforts to accommodate that and work around that as required.
Given that light rail situation, would you expect much of this block to still be closed off tomorrow when the light rail may be sometimes?
Look, it's too early to make any predictions on how long. Clearly, it's going to be a major event working through the night. We'll work closely with our colleagues from Transport to determine when and how we can reopen parts of the network as safely and as soon as possible.